all plays out in the coming days.
Defense, they really had some key stops.
Welcome back and good evening, America.
We'll be meeting in Mr. Geiger's room.
This sounds about right. This sounds good to me.
Good morning, Pioneers. Today is Thursday, January 7th. I'm Lauren Barron.
And I'm Ryan Hess, and this is your weekly national news show.
Beginning with an update on recent COVID cases, New York State has surpassed 1 million total COVID cases, and the U.S. has had 20.7 million total cases. As of Thursday, January 7th, there are 255,730 active COVID cases in the U.S., and 7,814 of which being just in Ohio.
As most people know, the vaccine has begun being distributed. Over 12.3 million doses from 30 countries have been distributed, with over 13 million of those doses being within the U.S. 4.5 million people in the U.S. have received the vaccine. Most of the first people who have received the vaccine include nurses, doctors, and other healthcare workers. Some of the government officials, including Mike Pence, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, and Chuck Schumer, have also received the vaccine. The vaccine in the U.S. is purchased with taxpayer dollars and will be given with no cost.
On Tuesday, January 5th, the Georgia Senate election results came in. A surprising sway in the votes. Left Democrats won both of the state Senate seats, ensuring Democrats slim majorities and control of the Senate.
With confirmed wins for President and Vice President-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Democrats will control the committees, the legislation, and the nominations brought to the floor. That advantage will pave the way for some of the elements of Biden's agenda.
Following the reporting of the Georgia election results, Donald Trump told supporters to march on the Capitol after making false claims of electoral fraud. These claims have been disputed, and later last night, Congress voted to confirm election results. Trump, who repeatedly falsely said the election was rigged and stolen, also said, and I quote, "We will never give up, we will never concede," end quote. Trump lost the popular vote by some 7 million and the electoral vote by essentially the same margin he won in the 2016 election, which he termed, and I quote, "a landslide," end quote.
Wednesday afternoon, protesters pushed ahead of barricades and a wall of police officers in riot gear to get inside the building. A woman was fatally shot inside the U.S. Capitol, and law enforcement told ABC News. Thousands of Trump supporters gathered in the Capitol building last night as the Senate and Congress were meeting to certify the election results, confirming Joe Biden as our next president.
As the afternoon continued, protests grew and Vice President Mike Pence called upon the National Guard to help keep things controlled. With small numbers of security and police surrounding the building entrances, protesters made it inside after breaking windows, forcing the Vice President along with Senate and Congress members to evacuate the building.
Following bomb threats, police cleared the building and searched everything before the Senate and Congress were allowed back in the Capitol.
Amid these protests, President Trump returned to Twitter saying, and I quote, "I am asking everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you," end quote.
Following Trump's tweet, Vice President Mike Pence tweeted calling for the violence and destruction to stop, for those involved to leave the Capitol building immediately. After the proceedings were halted more than 5 hours while lawmakers were forced to lock down, the Senate was able to resume at 8 o'clock. As the session resumed, Vice President Mike Pence addressed the actions of those in the Capitol, stating, "To those who wreaked havoc on our Capitol today, you did not win. As we reconvene in the chamber, the world will again witness the resilience and strength of our democracy, even with the wake of unprecedented violence and vandalism in this Capitol." Shortly after, the Senate was able to confirm the electoral count and confirm the results of the 2020 election. Early this morning, President Trump's Chief of Staff, John Scavino, released a statement saying that there will be a peaceful transition of power on January 20th.
Scavino quoted Trump saying, quote, "Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition of January 20th. I have always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. While this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again," end quote.
With only about a week into 2021, the new year has already looked different than we thought.
That's for sure. This is a time of change and continuing to make a difference in our country and world for our future generation. That being said, that's all we have for you for our show today.
Yes, thank you for watching. Stay juicy, and please stay tuned for next week for another national news update.